Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Now, April 1st was a dark, warm, clear night in Pleasant Valley, New Jersey. And despite the promise of being a relatively uneventful night, it became a night for pranks. Pranks that went too far. And it was with the knowledge that they went too far with repercussions. By one person who took everything too far, who took a compliment too far, full well knowing the turmoil and chaos it would cause between two very hormonal teenagers. And that person is not Willie Wynn. That person is Willie's girlfriend, Dee Prest. And I will show that Willie here, who stands accused falsely of both defiant trespass and criminal mischief, has to clear his good name. Willie, who is a popular A and B student, who, unlike what the prosecution portrays, is actually an athletic gentleman, although he is 4'10", and that is important here. Plays hockey, plays football. With Mr. Wynn having to clear his good name, we will show and prove beyond all reasonable doubt that Mr. Wynn is actually not guilty for three very important reasons. And as you can see here, this is Mr. Wynn down in the bottom, Dee Prest, and his friend, just in case. Now, what the evidence will show is that Willie is actually the physically improbable suspect. He lacks a lasting motive, and he didn't really have the true opportunity to do this. Now, let's talk about the fact that he's 4'10". To be able to spray paint at the height of 5'1", Willie would probably be doing this, maybe getting on a ladder, maybe jumping. And there were also footprints at the scene, large footprints. There is a correlation between height and shoe size. And with that, taller people are going to tend to have larger shoes. Willie is a short individual. He is only 4'10". He's not going to have the shoe size to fit the prints that were found. The lack of a real motive. Our prosecution said that this is childhood jealousy, something that went too far. But that's not the case here. Mr. Wynn, actually, and just in case, they've been friends since the 4th grade. This is not their first squabble, I'm sure. It's not going to be their last squabble. But it did hurt, and things were said in the heat of the moment. And lots of anger, lots of hurt, lots of embarrassment. However, even before the argument was completely done and over with, Willie himself said, "I'm so hurt, I can't think straight." And before Dee even left the conversation, he was like, "You know what, if you want to date Justin, you go right ahead." Wow. And a lack of opportunity. Between 8:30 and 9:45, there was an hour that there was nobody else at home. However, Willie does mention that he was watching American Idol. And what teenage boy is going to admit to watching American Idol, unless he actually is watching American Idol? His dad went to go take their 4-year-old sister to the emergency room, but Dad called at 9:45, and Willie picked up. After that, he finished American Idol, which presumably ended on the hour at 10, and he took their dog Sparkles on a walk, being a very responsible teenager, and he was home when Dad came home at 11. Now, the prosecution may want to say, oh, this gives him ample opportunity to be able to commit these crimes, but Dad could have called at any time. Dad could have called at 9:45 like he did. Dad could have called at 10:30. If you're going to commit what is the crime of the century, which you have wanted to be unsure of when Dad was coming home. However, we do have a very probable suspect, and this is actually Dee pressed. She has everything that Willie actually doesn't have in way of making this crime happen. The physicality, the demonstrative motive, the ample opportunity. With the physicality, she is 5'10". That is a more comfortable position to be able to do spray paint. She's not reaching for the stars. She's not scrunched down. As opposed to Willie here, who is 4'10", excuse me, who would have to. And she is a taller woman, so she would have to have larger shoes. Motive. This is actually, Dee's motive is actually as old as time itself, along with what the prosecution says with what Willie's motive is. She is an attention seeker. After wanting to misconstrue the love triangle that really only existed in her head, she got upset that basically her boyfriend was like, I don't care, whatever. Caused her to stumble out her game, not go win the championship. She was upset that her parents, God forbid, took a date night and weren't there to cheer her on. So this stewed to the point where, as an 18-year-old legal adult, did have a babysitter. Babysitter sent her to the room where she locked the door, turned the radio up to deceive the babysitter, went out to do her graffiti, isn't that ironic, graffiti art project in the park. So she had full unchecked availability during this time. Now, the physical evidence will actually show that Dee committed this crime instead of Willie himself. Now, as you'll see here, 3 cans of spray paint were found in the locker, which Willie and Dee were the only ones that had access to. The spray cans had fingerprints, multiple sets of fingerprints, that said that anyone basically had access to this spray paint because it was the school's. And the shirt that was found in the locker was a woman's shirt. A woman's shirt that 8 out of 10 girls said, this is Dee's shirt. This is not Willie's, this is not X, Y, and Z's, this is Dee's shirt. Covered in red spray paint. And most damning of all is the fact that before anyone knew this, she had gone up to give her condolences to Justin about, oh, I'm so sorry about your house. Nobody knew. How was she to know? Unless she was the one who actually did it.
True minutes.
Now, on this April Fool's Day, Dee was really the person who did this and is responsible for what happened. And Willie shouldn't be left holding the spray can, the literal bag. And I urge you to find Willie not guilty. Thank you.